It's really, really important to recognize the importance of hard work. We're creating an educational world where we're not doing that. So you have to look at your leaders. Did Booby fucking Kennedy work hard? Did he? No, he did fucking drugs all day. All right. That's what he did. He couldn't even make it through school. He got thrown out of private school. Very few of us had the money to go to private school. And then his mama and papa had to call Harvard to get him in. Did Donald Trump ever really work hard? You have to look at these people before they're going to lead a country. What is a leader? Think about what a leader is. A leader is able to see the future. You're leading people. Are you going to lead them to hell? Are you going to lead them to the gallows? Are you going to lead them to truth, freedom, health, liberation? And if you look at, frankly, my history and our movement's history, we've always called things, I would say we have 110% hit rate right now. And I give that 110% because when we call things, we expanded knowledge and we help people. So think about what it means to be a leader. There's that very famous story, you may have heard about this big piece of machinery, a very complex turbine in a very big power plant that had failed. Nothing was working. Electricity was shut off for a whole town. So they called this guy in, an engineer, and he comes in and he looks around, and about 5 minutes he goes, oh, you got to take that particular screw and you have to tighten it. And it gets going. And he goes, okay, here's my bill for $500,000. And they go, wait a minute, you only spent 5 minutes. Yeah, he goes, I may have spent 5 minutes telling you what to do, but it took me 50 years to build that knowledge to tell you that in 5 minutes. So this notion of building an expertise in an area to look at something and quickly know what to do comes from knowledge, experience, and emotional intelligence. It's those three things. And all of them require a commitment. Now, what we do at Truth, Freedom, and Health is to give you all those things. We have created the framework to deliver you knowledge, experience, and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence comes from talking to other people, physically looking at someone in the eye, meeting people offline, building relationships. Experience comes from doing something repeatedly, not just once. Oh, I went to the train station, I handed out a flyer, no one wanted to take it. It sucks. No, you got to go back again. Maybe you didn't look at anyone in the eye. Maybe you didn't smile, right? You have to understand that. The knowledge comes from the knowledge of systems thinking. We have created a framework of system science, and nowhere else in the world can you get this. Yeah, you can go to MIT when you can pay them $250,000 and spend 20 years. That's what the elites do. And we want to give you this very powerful knowledge. And it took me 30, 40 years to organize it, put it together, write books. But people who take this knowledge and study, you'll find out, are the same people who are good at something else. They put in the time. People who are dilettante, well, I sort of learned it. I took the course once. I get it all. No, you probably didn't get anything. You think you got it, and that person's actually more dangerous because they're what I call an unconscious incompetent. They don't even know their incompetence. So our movement is going down to this very gut level, going back to the highest values of what it means to be a human being. And what kinds of leaders do you want? Do you want leaders who bang 28 women, cheat on their wives, and that's in their personal lives, and then give their wives their diary of all the women that they conquested, and then when the woman hangs themselves, they don't feel any remorse. In fact, they bury their body in front of the press and pray, and then they dig up their body and they move it somewhere else. That's Robert fucking Kennedy. Is that the kind of person you want? And the same kind of person who says, my personal integrity and my public integrity are two different things. He's telling to your face he's a disconnected human being. Is that the kind of people you want? In the ancient Indian systems of knowledge, you had instinctive knowledge, you had intellectual knowledge, and you had intuitive knowledge. These were three very different kinds of knowledge. Intuition was the highest form of knowledge. And intuition is something that occurs in lightning speed. You can look at someone and you know what they're about. You can look at a situation, you know, that's what I have to do right now. And the intuitive knowledge in the Indian system or in some of the yogic systems comes from your highest centers. The instinctive knowledge comes from your lower centers, like an animal who smells something and runs. And then your intellectual knowledge is one level above the instinctive, but the intellectual knowledge is a very dangerous knowledge. Lawyers use intellectual knowledge. They can rationalize anything. They can take a murderer and make him look good. It's sort of the devil's knowledge. You can use it for solving a very complex mathematics problem, but you can use that same intellectual knowledge for justifying why it was okay to kill someone, why it was okay to do something horrible, but make it all look good in your brain. And in fact, convince others that it was okay. All right, that's intellectual knowledge, but intuitive knowledge is coming from a very different point of view. At Truth, Freedom, and Health, we want you to build your intuitive knowledge. That's what we're doing. So why is it everyone in our movement looks at Trump and Kennedy? We say, boom, because you have this intuition. And that intuition can be backtracked to particular knowledge and experience and having an emotional intelligence. You recognize these people are scumbags. They are here to take you off the path. They're here to manipulate you. A lot of the world is at this instinctive knowledge. Another side of the world is this intellectual knowledge. They rationalize stuff. That is where the lesser of two evils comes. That is a rationalization of bullshit. He says some good things. What do you want me to do? Vote for you? You're an independent. How can you win? So you convince your brain that the lesser of two evils is a good path to go. And if you you look at the last 60 years, what is the lesser of two evils? This intellectual, rationalized thinking delivered people. The lifespan of Americans now is going like this. Your child's lifespan will be less than yours. And that comes from this intellectual, devilish type thinking, justifying bullshit. And the intuitive knowledge is, of course, we need to build a movement. Of course, we should spit on people like Trump and Kennedy. They're bamboozling me. And that is what our movement is doing. If you want to raise your consciousness, and by the way, one person who has an intuitive knowledge can affect billions of people. And you've seen that throughout the ages. One Buddha, one Christ, one very deeply connected leader influences and leaves a wonderful fragrance for the rest of humanity. So you have to get that. And what we're trying to do here is to create gurus of you, teachers. I'm just a catalyst. I happen to have created the knowledge system to enable you to do that. But our movement is about truly raising your consciousness. That is what this movement is about. And that is what my run for president is about. It is about you wanting to raise your consciousness. That is what this is about.